Hey, it's Tuesday, September 12th. It's my anniversary. Happy anniversary to my wife. 3 years. I regret that she's had over half of that time with me being ill, or right at half that time. I'm not sure. I have to figure it out. But uh, over half that time. Anyway, I have a few updates, I guess. So I had my follow-up with my orthoped yesterday. Kelly came with me, and the doctor actually followed up and called me today. The MRI didn't show anything specific. It's a 25% tear on my rotator cuff, which she said just could be because I'm 54, and not something that she would recommend anything for, which I wouldn't let her do even if she did. But that nothing else really specific, and it was just a picture of this part. And so where I have all the pain in my arm is mostly in my bicep area and my tricep area. The shoulder doesn't hurt. It's never been the joint. It's the meat part of my shoulders. But anyway, she supports my desire for a muscle biopsy, but it's interesting that nobody she knows really knows where to go here in the Tulsa area for such a thing. And that Oklahoma City looks to be where they're going to recommend that I would go if I get something like that. So I'm going to wait until my follow-up with my neuro on Thursday morning. And I'll discuss that with her and try to pursue that. Typically it would be the rheumatologist that would order something like that. My follow-up with her isn't until the middle of next month. I'm in quite a bit of pain here. And it's spread to my other arm. Actually, you can't tell. I'm icing this arm right now. There's a big old ice pack under here because it really helps kind of reduce the pain. But anyway, so that's one update. Another update that I wanted to give was I was thinking of one of the things that I haven't really discussed, and I haven't even documented this, so maybe I should put it out there. But so the way the condition works is, you go through all these transitions, and essentially your body's putting up, defenses that are kind of abnormal, of doing things that prevent the candidiasis from progressing, but at the same time they're just kind of temporary measures, and it can be a decade between these things kind of feeling. Well, one of those temporary measures is, so when the cells of your muscles get attacked at some point, kind of in the middle of this disease, not a little over halfway through. So for me, it would have been about 10 years ago, I think. It was when I was hospitalized, and I lost all my strength like just overnight. And but so when it attacks the muscles and the candidiasis goes inside the cells, and it causes the sodium potassium pump to run in reverse, which shrinks the cells until it's apoptotic. Okay, so now you have this nicely encapsulated candidiasis, which can't go anywhere because it's basically surrounded by this cell membrane and salts. Okay, and that is your muscle tissue, and the muscle tissue still works like that. Okay, and in fact, your muscle tissue can get bigger by forcing in fluids and additional salts during later stages. And that's exactly what, if you saw pictures of me from 2018, you see how buffed up I was. But at some point, okay, the candidiasis gets activated, and then that's when the muscle fibers begin breaking down. So they're already dead, and so they're not throwing off the inflammatory markers and things like that. The rhabdomyolysis, all that stuff. This is apoptotic tissue, okay, with nerves still in it, okay, and that's what I'm going through right here, is the breakdown of that. And, thankfully it's mostly limited to this right arm. I have some stiffness in the left side and things like that right now, but it's not that bad and I can deal with it. The right arm is pretty bad. If I bump it, if I go to do things with it, it can definitely light me up. But so that's kind of the key here, is that you've got this apoptotic flesh, and it is now basically kind of, it's got the candidiasis in it, and that has been activated by sugars, I think. So somehow that, your system prevents the sugars from getting to it for the longest time. And then during this kind of phase that I've gotten through now, you somehow you rinse out the salts or something, and now it's able, the sugars get forced into the flesh, and so now that they get access to it, and that's what starts this. Now then, in this case, I don't know if that's exactly right, because it started from nerve impulses, and I remember there was something about nerve impulses in the write-up, and how they were attracted, how the candidiasis would somehow be attracted to the nerve impulses. And so maybe that is what happened, because I was playing a video game the day this started, and I had been playing it for a while, several weeks or months, but on this particular day, it started having some issues, and then by that evening it was all locked up in my shoulder and my upper arm, and that's when all this started on this side. So I don't know, but we're just taking it day to day. Scheduling these out in the future. I would appreciate if you'd share my story. Once again, this is a story of terminal onset diabetes insipidus with candidiasis major, and it's been redacted from the medical literature. And I mean, I can understand why. There's a whole lot of weird science going on here that is difficult to explain, and given that the experiments themselves were, didn't have the greatest outcomes in the end, I can understand that. I think I shared this the other day, but I'm going to share it one more time just to make sure that I did put together how the SIADH was related to the fact that the original patients that were treated had been had a tuberculosis infection. And so I did some research and found out that about 5% of people that get TB get SIADH. And back then they would have had no cure for the SIADH, and they wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. And those people, most likely, if they kept drinking, they would have gone into the thing that I went into with the heart changes, and then that would have caused them to perish. So they would have treated those people any way they could, and they came up with a way. And it gave them additional time. Anyway, so the SIADH is where it comes together, because I have that naturally. I had my first real bout with it when I was in college, had completely forgotten about it until actually when I was 25, and I was in the Laureate, and I was like, man, this place looks really similar to someplace else I've been. And I was like, when was that? And I started remembering, oh my, I've been in a place like this before. And it was because I drank too much. And the guy said, you might have a problem with drinking water, only drink when thirsty. And sure enough, I had forgotten that. And so when I had the stomach problems that started all this, I was drinking tons of water, and I wasn't thirsty. I was just trying to put out this fire in my belly. And so that's when I got into this hyponatremic state. Anyway, so that's a lot of update for today. I'm doing the best I can. It's very difficult. Still trying to work. And I want to make sure that you realize that I am not putting all this down to say woe is me. I'm putting all this down for the science and for the fact that I cannot believe that I'm having to go through all of this because some medical establishment person decided to remove this from general knowledge. If it was still out there, if I could get to it, I could point at it, it would make sense to a doctor, and I could get a diagnosis, and you know, I might actually get some treatment. I don't know. That would be nice. But you know, without that, I'm kind of just left hanging in the wind, and I'm kind of like the sacrifice. So this is me trying to say, hey, you know, this condition should be documented. Someone should dig up the research, and someone should realize that, hey, the medical establishment does hide things, and you know, I'm definitely not a tinfoil hat guy, but I mean, I feel like they've kind of cheated me here, and I've had to deal with it for 28 years. So anyway, that's it for today. Tomorrow will be Wednesday. I will have gone out to NOLA with my beautiful wife, and hopefully had a great dinner and a good time. And you know, I can still do those things. It just takes some focus.